Welcome back, Anna.
Yeah.
So last time you were here, we were talking pretty extensively about your experience when your husband leaves for work and how you have some fear and some sadness that comes up and how it's kind of related, directly related to your father leaving when you were younger. Has anything changed since we last met?
No, not really. I think my husband has started to notice this last week. He was heading for work and he forgot his second set of keys for the second job. And so when he came back, he saw me in the bathroom and I was bawling. So when he came back, he asked, was everything okay? But I knew. So he saw that there was something going on with me.
You were bawling.
Yeah, it was bad this time. I was literally crying like a lot.
That day?
It was bad.
When he came and he found you, bawling, what did you do?
Right away I had to stop and kind of gather myself. There was a lot of emotions and I couldn't, I felt shame and there was just a lot of stuff going on. I wasn't expecting him to come back, so I didn't know how to react. I had to kind of like gather myself,
You didn't know how to react.
Right, because he was there and he was actually, I felt like it was revealed that my fear.
My fear was revealed. What happened for you internally?
I think for a couple of seconds, like my world stopped. And then when it stopped, I had to gather myself real quickly, so because I wasn't ready to tell him.
What is that? What is gather yourself?
Wow, that's hard for me to try to explain that. Because when my father left, I would always cry, and my mother would always say, gather yourself together. And so I remember now that that's what it was.
So do you hear gather yourself in your head?
I don't know if I hear it in my head, but
Okay.
I kind of like know that my husband was here.
What happens to you physically? To your body when gather yourself? Because you say it.
Right.
And you get very crisp in your speaking.
I think it's not really my body. I think it's more my internals. Like I just got to stop and, just kind of like if you're crying, you got to gather yourself, fix your blouse and, and kind of wipe your eyes and just stop.
You became right now very animated. When speaking about gathering yourself, you sat up and you got very, you're ready.
Yes, that's what my mother taught me to do. Gather myself. So that was the thing. It was like I couldn't show my husband the fears, and I just had to gather myself. When
You
he
couldn't
came back.
show him.
No.
What would happen if you did? You were afraid.
I'm very, very afraid that he's gonna leave. The same way my father did. So, when he came back, I gathered myself and because he came knocking on the door when I was in the bathroom and he was knocking, I heard him. He's like, hey, I'm looking for my keys. And so right away, I was like, oh my God. So I tried to put it all back together. He couldn't find his keys, so I had to go out there. And I had to go help him find the keys. So every time he would, I would not try to look at him. I would try to look away or act like I was looking in a separate, direction, so he would never notice my face. That when I cry, my eyes get big and they turn red.
Oh, do that.
Yes. So I really, really try to hide. But I think he noticed that there was something wrong just because of my behavior and the way that I was avoiding him.
Was that, it sounds like there was a contrast between the gathered Anna and the hiding Anna.
There is.
And he noticed.
Yes. Because what I'm trying to do is gather myself, to where you see me.
Mm-hmm.
But inside is not gathered.
Mm-hmm.
Gather myself to where he sees outside, I'm okay, but hide my face, because if he saw my face and my eyes, he would know that the inside wasn't okay.
Has he seen it before?
No, I don't know how to. He does know about my father leaving, and he does know the story. But he doesn't know to what extent it has affected me.
The daily experience for you.
Yes. And my children. Now the same thing, I just thought about it, I think the same thing happens with my children, because even though my husband's gone to work, my children are there.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're each either, doing homework or playing a game. So after I come out of the bathroom and I walk outside, I gather myself, but I don't let them look at my face. I try to look away so they don't see, because then they're going to say, Mommy, what's wrong with you? And
Mommy, what's wrong with you? Do you think they would tell your husband or ask your husband?
I think it might be mentioned in one way or the other, or something. Like, Mommy was crying yesterday, or Mommy had red eyes yesterday. Not intentionally, but just kids say the truth all the time.
Right. Yeah.
And then what would I say to him, or how would I explain it?
So daily you find yourself coming out of the bathroom and literally gathering yourself.
Okay.
But at the same time, hiding your face.
So they don't see it.
Is that like
feeling invisible, like I'm not there, like I don't matter? Now you're making me think of when I was a little girl and my mother, when they left, and I felt like it didn't matter, I wasn't valued. He didn't love me enough to stay, he left. So no matter what I could give or how much I could love him, it wasn't enough, because he left. He still left.
he still left, no matter what?
No matter what I did or how good of a little girl I was, and now thinking about it, I used to get good grades and he could be so proud of me, but it just wasn't enough.
Wasn't enough for him.
Yeah.
You took all that on.
Yeah. And then sometimes, since I knew my mom, wow, now I'm thinking about it, I think my mom did the same thing that I did, that I'm doing today. Because I used to see her cry. Yeah, but I never told her how I felt, because I didn't want to put more stuff on her. And so she would cry more, and I didn't want her to cry.
This was after your father left?
Yes.
You would see her cry.
I would see her cry, and I I was a little girl, but I understood that she was crying because he wasn't there.
Yeah.
So I never shared with her how I felt, and the times that she did catch me crying, and I would always say, oh, I miss my daddy. That was the only thing I would say to her, and she would say, just gather yourself.
And that's what she was doing.
Yes.
She was gathering herself for you.
Yes.
That's what you saw. And now that is what you do.
Oh, wow. I never thought about it like that.
That's the connection you have spoken about in the last bit of time that came up for you. How do you feel right this moment? How do you feel?
Sad?
Okay.
Very sad, actually. Wanting to cry.
Do you?
Yeah. But I'm holding it back.
You can cry here. You don't have to gather yourself for me.
Yeah. Very sad. I've been sad too long now that I'm thinking about it.
What are you sad about right this second?
For this long time, I've had to gather myself and I feel like I've lost myself. Like I continue every single day, like I feel like there's something missing in me, and I find the good in something else, but when you really go back, there's something missing in me. You know, my children bring me lots of joy. My husband brings me joy. But when I turned around and I come to me, I'm sad. Very sad within. So I feel like I'm happy for that couple of minutes that I'm enjoying them. It's not who I am.
And going back to feeling invisible, they don't see the sad.
No, they don't. No one does.
And you're happy, but you're sad.
Yes.
And they don't see that.
Yeah.
And then there's the invisible. So that is part of that happiness. It's also an invisible feeling.
Yes. And I felt like that for a long time. Since the day my father left. And I don't know how to... That's all I feel every day.
He's in, your father is leaving, he's in your life every day.
Yes.
Every day. Every time your husband leaves, and every time you're with your kids without your husband, you feel so sad and fearful, and it's overwhelming.
I feel that it's getting worse. I feel that I'm crying more. I feel that before I could be in the bathroom for like 5 minutes, but now it's like 10 minutes. I need to just be by myself.
Oh, wow. So the time of sadness, the time of crying and bawling is getting longer.
Yes.
Okay. All right. We can explore this and find out why it's more, why it's intensifying for you.
Okay.
I really appreciate you sharing all of this about your father and coming and how he has made you feel so sad. This experience made you feel so sad. And that sadness is pervasive. It's there all the time, but you won't let anybody see it, so you feel invisible despite being happy. That's a lot of stuff on top of a lot of stuff. A lot of emotions happening in every moment. I appreciate your sharing so much. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you for listening.